Yes, my name is, I thought you were standing over there.
Okay, sorry.
No, okay. Am I good?
And what else was I supposed to say? How? Um,
I am Chef Linda Berry. I am the oldest and only daughter of Linda Berry, Sr.
my name is Garay Berry II. I am Linda's second child, so I'm the middle.
How you doing? My name is Tommie Berry, and I'm the third and youngest of the Linda Berry children.
My name is Linda Berry. I'm a native of Cleveland, Ohio. I retired from the Army National Guard after 23 years of service as a military policeman.
I would say growing up with a parent in the military was interesting.
Confusing at times.
Having a parent in the military is different. You learn about cleanliness, order, getting up early. And I think the biggest thing is that you never know what could happen. You know, our mom used to leave frequently for like natural disaster relief, just all across the state, all across the country, internationally. And I think when I was younger, I just didn't get it. I didn't, even when she would come back and explain it, I was like, why were you gone for 2 weeks?
It was tough not having her there for like senior year, like pretty much all of high school. I did with other people and not with my mom. But on the other end of it, I felt great that my mom wanted to provide enough money to say, you know what, I know that I have to sacrifice, but it's for you guys. She never made it seem like it was a sacrifice for anything other than so that we can have what we needed to have.
But at the same time, it brought us closer to those who made up our village. You know, they say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, the village definitely raised us.
I was just going to knock on their school door and say, oh, I just want to say goodbye to my child. I'm about to be gone for a couple of weeks. Sometimes we only get a 2-week notice to do things like the Lucasville riots or just Katrina floods or something that's local or within the United States.
But probably by the time that I got to middle school, that's when it actually hit me. Because by that time, 9/11 had happened, and just everything was different after 9/11. Like, our mom got deployed very quickly.
I didn't have to just be strong on the inside. I had to be strong for my mother too, because it's one thing to accept the fact that you have to go and fight for your country, but it's another thing to leave your children and your family behind.
After September 11th, 2001, I started getting more deployments, like to Iraq 2 times and to Kosovo. I have also been to Italy, but that was just to recon for the troops that was going over there before I got there. I was in Nicaragua, and that was a peacekeeping mission where we just built the homes.
I felt kind of privileged to have my mom in the military because people would be like, oh, your mom's in the military, like, where's she been? And I can say all of these places that maybe I hadn't been to, but she's been there.
I miss my daughter's cotillion, which was a very important event in which Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones did come overseas to see me, and she asked me what could she do for me. And I said, could you please be one of my child's moms for her cotillion, because I could not attend. And Stephanie showed up, and she had a lot of moms to represent her. So even if I couldn't be someplace, I tried to send representation or gifts. And my mom say, if you don't want to raise your kids, be like Linda. She didn't raise them kids. The community raised them. The church raised them. Coaches raised them. Their family raised them. Their grandparents raised them. But it was only supposed to be a weekend job where I can have a little extra money to put the kids in gymnastics, or they could play baseball or go play tennis or do an extra little activity. But it turned into a full-time job sometimes.
But nobody was afraid to step up. They knew that our mother was a part of something bigger than herself. And with that being said, she might have gave them an instruction, but with them being on our home front, they knew exactly what they had to do to get it done.
I had a ridiculous amount of support. Since everybody was acting better in school, particularly my youngest son, then I believe that I worried less about what was going on at home. The people at church was writing me. If anybody had to discipline anybody, they would tell me when I called. And I got letters all the time and a lot of mail. I didn't even worry about bills. They was automatic. Everybody kept me informed one way or another so that I could focus on my job and what I had to do for operations in the company.
I'm so proud of her. Like, she loves the military, and she not only went into the military, but she excelled in the military. And you can see the fruit of her labor by every time we go somewhere, like especially around Veterans Day. It's always someone there that comes up and thanks her, like, oh my gosh, you were my sergeant, you were my master sergeant. Like, me and my mom share a name, so on Facebook, people will come and message me thinking that I'm my mom, and I'm totally not my mom, but we look the same, we sound alike, we're named the same, and they're just like praising her. Like, thank you so much. So I'm extremely proud of her and everything that she did and everything that she's still doing. Because even though she's out of the military, she's still helping veterans. Every time we go somewhere, she's like, hey, you got a veteran in your family? Let me give you some information for that person.
It's hard to put into words how proud you can be of a major influence in your life. And a lot of it I didn't really see until I got as old as I am now. But the go-getter attitude, the not accepting defeat, the pursuit past what other people say is possible, like all of those things. Anytime I run into a situation, like I think of my mom and I think about perseverance, and that it just adds to that effect of just knowing, like, man, I have a real life example that I can touch, call, whatever, that reminds me that that it's possible.
Wow, I couldn't even begin to describe how proud I am of my mom. That woman is tough, and I was the bad kid, so I know exactly how tough she is. She was always talking and getting to know people of all ranks, of all nationalities, all backgrounds, and to just know that because of my mother, somebody had my back. That just let me know that everything was gonna be okay. I meet people all the time who look at my rank and look at my face and say, you're Master Sergeant Barry's son. And to hear that alone is probably some of the most proudest things that I could possibly imagine.
She always, always, always asks, what are your goals? And to me, like when I was little, I would be like, well, my goal is to like go to school. My goal is to get an A. She's like, okay, that's great. So that's your short-term goals. What are your long-term goals? And I'd be like, oh, like to be a doctor. She was like, okay, great, great. Do you have any goals in between? And it would stop me. And I would be like, okay, so I guess an A isn't good enough to get to doctor. Then I had to think about college. Then I had to think about, well, how do I get to college? Then I had to think, well, what kind of coursework do I need to take in high school? And so that shaped everything in my life.
We went to a battered women's shelter, and this would be like a yearly thing. And we would bring in all of these dollar store, these cheap toys that I thought were the worst things in the world. And my mom would disappear for a second, and then would come Santa Claus. And I realized that my mom is Santa Claus with bad knees, having kids sit on her lap, giving them these terrible gifts. And I'm just like, why are we doing this? And then they would leave the lap and open their gifts. And you could see something change in the people who were there, who may be destitute, who may be just deprived of living a regular life. They may be on a run from a violent past. And for that moment, that cheap gift, that fake Santa Claus made all the difference. And it's like my moment of inspiration in doing service now.
When I got promoted to Sergeant E5, I didn't even know, like my platoon sergeant called me during the week. He was like, hey, you know, you about to get promoted to E5. I'm like, me? I'm about to get promoted? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's up, that's what's up. And then I want to say that my first sergeant might have asked me, who did I want to pin me? And I said, I want my mother to pin me. She about to send her son off for the first time to Afghanistan. She has the opportunity to do something that will forever be etched in my memory. And she sure can hit, man. She socked it right to me too. You know what I'm saying? It's a sergeant thing. It's an NCO thing.
I think the legacy that she's leaving behind is to be a servant leader.
She inspires just through her actions.
Nobody will ever replace my mother.